Hey, everybody. It's Peter Bogosian, and I'm with my buddy,
Travis Brown.
and we're here kicking it in LA. We're doing some street epistemology with cordial curiosity, cordial curious there. Read Nice Wonder, Man Among Men. What do you think of LA, Travis?
I mean, it's lovely that it's 70 degrees and sunny in December. It's great.
Yeah, it's much less of a cesspool of human filth than when I was last year.
I don't like that part of it. Yeah, it still is kind of gross, and there still are a lot of homeless people. And
It smells like
crime.
urine and everywhere when
Yeah.
we were walking around for dinner last night.
For sure. Yeah, it's depressing.
I don't think I could live here.
I definitely could not live here. No.
You know, when Reed and I go around, I would often say to Reed, no matter where we are, why can't we have nice things? Why can't we have things that function? Why, when we were in London, it was amazing to me. There's Dom. When we were in London, it was amazing to me. No one thought you were going to steal things when you were in the store. Again, I can't speak for Middle America. I can just speak for like when I was in New York and even at my age, which was I found odd.
Portland. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved out of Portland, but where I now live or what have you. But there was none of that, and the tube was functioning great. I mean, it was delayed a few times for sure, but it was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you excited about all of our upcoming adventures?
I am. I'm very excited to get out of Portland and go travel around.
So we're going to be going to Taiwan.
Yep.
Probably Japan, probably New Zealand, probably Australia. And we have a great place with my buddy Liam to train.
Oh, awesome.
In Sydney.
Sweet.
Travis does jujitsu too. He's on his jujitsu journey. Reed, we just did jujitsu here.
Right. It was fun.
God, that guy was so good.
He was really, really good.
Yeah, I haven't been tossed around like that for quite a while. But we're going to do a casual conversation where people can come in and talk to us, and it's going to be a one-on-one where people can say something. And I want to talk about your new documentary work, and I've just seen the first episode, and it's genuinely excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yep. So I want to talk about that a little bit too. Why don't we actually kick it off by talking about that?
Sure.
We got someone from Australia. Hey, we're going to Australia. I love Australia. Nice. Best coffee in the world in Australia, in my opinion. I've been all around the world. So tell us a little bit about your new film before we take people call-ins, conversations, and such. Tell us about it. And is a trailer where you can pull up?
Yeah. Is that doable or?
Yeah. Can we watch?
I can introduce.
Can we watch the trailer, Reed, or no? No, we can't watch the trailer. But tell us about it then.
So it's a docu-series. So there will be 3 episodes plus some other content, and it's called Uncomfortable Truths: The Reality of Gender Identity Ideology. So it's all about the ideology that's fueling the trans movement and all this gender confusion. The particular focus that I'm taking is on young kids and on men taking over women's spaces. Those are the 2 main things that most people agree shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be transitioning children. We shouldn't allow men to invade women's spaces. Almost everyone agrees on that. There's some unfortunate kind of infighting on the so-called gender critical side of this debate. But for the most part, if we could just stay focused on that, I think we can make a lot of progress. So anyways, I interviewed Helen Joyce and Mr. Minow and Colin Wright and Marcus and Sue Evans, who blew the whistle at Tavistock, and a bunch of other awesome people. The first episode is done. It's not available to view yet, but there are some promos online that you can go and watch. We're still looking for a distribution platform, somewhere to put it out. But I'm pretty excited about it. I showed the first episode at GenSpect. They did a conference in Denver.
And you liked that conference?
It was incredible.
Yeah, I'm going next year.
It was really good. Yeah, we should definitely go. Michael Schellenberger spoke there, James Lindsay, a bunch of people. Stella O'Malley puts it on. She's amazing.
Stella's great. Yeah. Is she put it on? I didn't know she put it on.
Yeah. She founded She's one of the founders.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Sasha Ayad, who's also in the film, Lisa Marciano, they were all there. They're all fantastic people. That was the thing that struck me, I think, the most when I was doing the interviews. All these people get labeled as bigots or as hateful. None of them were remotely hateful. None of them were angry. None of them fit that profile at all. They were all very thorough thinkers, very compassionate, and again, they have the same goals. They just don't want to rush children into medical treatment that will irreversibly damage their bodies and their minds. That's it's super basic. You think everyone would just automatically be on board with that, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I'm hoping to highlight why people believe in this, what the problems are, and then also what can be done about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And without giving away the show too much, that's pretty intense to work with that subject matter. I mean,
It's depressing.
Yeah. First of all, I don't agree with the word transition, but let's just
Sure.
use it as a placeholder term for now. So did you found it depressing? Obviously.
Yeah, it was very
ghoulish.
depressing. It's ghastly. It's horrific. And then I spent probably 2 weeks searching for footage and, just watching all kinds of children transitioning. And what I mean by that is just, surgeries and hormones to get them to look like the opposite sex. You obviously can't transition from one sex to the other. That's not possible. But yeah, downloading all that stuff and having to insert it into the film, it's obviously a necessary part of making the film or the series, but it's really hard. I was depressed. I was sad, just for the state of affairs for all these people. I've interviewed a detransitioner and spoken to many detransitioners, and it's tragic. I mean, it's rough. Yeah.
Are there any, we'll take call-ins in a minute, but are there any commonalities among the people who detransitioned beside the obvious that the literature shows, a high incidence of homosexuality, high incidence of autism? Does anything else strike you or stick out?
That's a good question. I mean, I think, a lot of them have struggled with various kinds of mental illness, and that can really vary. I don't know if there's much data on that. There probably is, but I'm not sure. But it's I'm trying to think of the best way to say that. But yeah, I would say a commonality would be, at least at the time of their so-called transition, they were struggling with a lot of other comorbidities, and I think the data does show that. And I think that's pretty clear at this point. So, and another thing is that a number of the people I talked to, Camille Kiefel, the girl that I interviewed, she thought she was non-binary in large part because she studied at PSU. She went to the women and gender studies program and was convinced that she was non-binary, which is not even a real category. But they literally gave her a non-binary top surgery. Like, that's an actual surgery that people can get now. So so people get caught up in the ideology as well. That's another part of it, is that it's attractive to certain people in vulnerable positions, and so they go along with it until they realize, oh, wait a minute, none of this actually makes sense, and this is a mistake.
Yeah, just on that, someone, if you want to do a super chat, let us know, and we'll take questions. Someone asked, we did SSE, spectrum treated epistemology with Sherman and Schellenberg. It was interesting, but
that's great.
Someone wanted to know, there it is, and we can play videos when we live stream, right, Reed? Or no? Okay, well, later. Yeah, we did interview. In fact, I've done live streams with people who are happy they transitioned. You could, Debbie and Buck, and we're gonna meet Buck tomorrow, and other people, so you can see those. All right, do we want to bring people in, or should Travis and I just keep? Oh yeah, the link is in the chat if you want to come and
chat with us.
And if you've harassed me and I recognize your name, you're out. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. I also hope that Camille wins her lawsuit. She's suing the people that did the surgery on her. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have someone. It just doesn't seem enough to me. It does. Loss of license, even that doesn't seem enough. But it's a start. It's a start.
A small portion of justice.
Yeah, very small. Hello,
Nathan.
Oh my goodness, it's our buddy.
Oh,
hey, are you still in the city of Portland?
I sure am.
What do you think
upon you?
Yeah, what do you think about Rene Gonzalez running for mayor? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear about that. I've been kind of like keeping my head focused on a couple of like career paths and things like that.
Okay.
Did you hear that I might be teaching in a public school some street epistemology?
No,
Oh,
I
no
think
shit.
that's incredible for you. Um, just a real quick linger on that one point. So Ted Wheeler, you know what I think of him? He's
And
you
I've hung out with him. I'm like,
yeah,
I
I
went
know
in a
you have.
viral photo with him at one
I
point.
know you have. But he's decided not to run.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Almost enough to make me believe in a higher power. But and then Renee Gonzalez is running. But anyway, so who did you do? Who did you do it with?
Who did
What's
I
the
do?
school?
Street epistemology with.
Oh, I'm not so sure it's like fully like sealed yet, like set in stone that I'm actually gonna do that, but I have been invited and I just need to do a couple more procedural things like background checks, that sort of thing, before I can actually like go teach. But they're gonna let me have an hour a week for as many weeks as I want, pretty much until the
Good for
school year
you.
is over. So I'm really excited
Nice.
about that. And with the street epistemology, we just finished building the online course so people can go learn street epistemology on their own in their own time. There's knowledge checks in there, and then you get a certificate of completion when it's all over. And
Nice,
yeah, so I'm like
nice,
really
Nathan.
stoked
Nice.
on all that.
And we did your quiz a little bit on the line. We did the SSE, the spectrum. We put people a little bit on the quiz.
You mean with the survey, the street epistemology
Yeah,
survey?
yeah, the one you made. We did a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome.
I'm not sure the participants were. I don't know. I think some of them there may have been issues. Let's just put
Really?
it that way.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's my experience using
yeah.
the survey with just about anybody. I want to say I've done the survey with people one-on-one probably over 400 times.
Oh,
So I
good for you.
have all of the points memorized by now, and
Oh, good for
I
you.
know the typical responses to those. Um, I was surprised though to find out, especially in the Northwest, and it seems to be more localized in the Northwest, that people often, like I would say somewhere between 20 and 30% of people have a completely different idea of what the word true means
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
than the rest of the
yeah.
population. And that to me is like the cornerstone of critical thinking. Like how do we progress from there?
Yeah,
If we don't
words.
agree on what the word
No,
true means.
I couldn't possibly agree with you more. I mean, that's
Right.
particularly Reed and I have found gender, sex, like defining these words. And I wrote about that in my first book. Like, you got to define faith. What do you mean by faith? How do you, like,
That's another one.
so the definition of words. And a lot of people, I'll say, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll say, oh, he's Bogosian, he's academic. No, it's not academic. You're just trying to figure out. You can't even have a conversation if you're trafficking in different meanings of the word. Oh, by the way, someone says they don't know what the topic is. There is no topic. It's basically Jesus. Oh, it's like Jesus. Oh, I can make a really inappropriate joke, but I want it's just
I have
whatever
a
people want to talk
couple
about.
I have a couple of questions if that's all right.
Yeah,
Uh
sure. And then I just want full disclosure. You've gone on tour with us and we know you personally. Just full
right.
disclosure.
Yeah. And that's actually
Okay.
what I'm calling to ask about. So
Yeah.
I went on tour, and I just got to say it was like I find you to be like an exceptionally generous person. It was like a wild time. I went to 12 different
Oh,
college
cool.
campuses with you, and I traveled with Reed and Travis, and
Are you setting
I
me
had a
up for something
blast.
super negative?
No, no. I mean, I
Oh,
hope not. I hope not. I
okay,
mean,
cool. I'm glad we had
it,
fun with you.
if it is, let me know. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus, or I don't have any ill will. It's more about like I have nothing to show for it for the whole. I felt like when I went with you on this tour, um that I would be challenging you from time to time with street epistemology, about using street epistemology,
Yeah, you
and
did
then you started doing it,
yeah,
which is great.
once in particular, one time, I had a guy who's just a total not nice ideologue, and and I walked away and I'm like, "Ugh." And you said I would have SC'd the hell out of him. I don't want to mention the place because I'm sure you remember it. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I do that?
Mm.
And so that was like a huge light bulb moment for me. So because I stepped away from it because of the grievance study stuff, and then I stepped back into it. But that was really good that you said that to me. I remember once my buddy actually here in LA, I was giving a talk and a very old man asked me a question and I gave him such a gentle response. And my guy here, my friend, I haven't talked to him in a long, long time, but used to be my buddy Emery. Emery is a good dude. You'd actually get along with him really well. He said to me, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, he was really old." He said, "No, never do that. Never treat anybody differently because of that." And I'm like, you know what? That's really right. I shouldn't have answered like that. So it's a really good thing that he said that to me. I learned from that, and I learned from when you said that to me too.
Right.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
And I want to mention also, you've just there's been this evolution that I've noticed that you're on, that you've really progressed a lot of unique things to street epistemology, like
That's
the
Reed's
spectrum.
doing.
Well, yeah,
That's Reed's
I was in the
genius.
room when we were
Yeah.
conjuring that idea up.
Yeah.
And it felt so special to be a part of something like that, because I devoted 3 months of my life to basically finding new ways to build bridges across ideological divides at college campuses around the country, which I couldn't think of anything more meaningful, I guess, for
Yeah.
me. So I'm
Yeah.
super stoked on that. You are doing this thing on freedom of speech, and I did want to
Yeah, and then after this, we're gonna go on to someone else. So guard, because we're gonna try to rapid fire it. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll make it quick then. As you know, my channel is Abstract Activist, and so
Yeah.
I have my own YouTube channel where I do street epistemology. And I was
Yeah.
wondering, there were a couple of encounters between you and I in which there were some contention over
Yeah.
our differences on how important street epistemology was.
Yeah.
And I would just like to ask for your permission to take some of the clips that are either already up or some that didn't, and work with Reed on your behalf, with your consent, with him being the focal point of how it's edited or whatever, and then post just 2 clips onto my channel.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We'll talk about it off air. I mean, tentatively, I have no problem with that, but let's just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
cool.
appreciate that, and great work, and I love what you did there in London the last couple of times. So
we have some crazy cool videos.
do you have some new ones in London that I haven't seen yet?
Truly crazy cool videos, really genuinely excellent.
Oh yeah, hey,
right.
look, there's a little clip of us at
Yep.
I have one of those videos that some Mormon missionaries came up soon afterwards.
Cool.
So
All right,
one of my videos
we're
of that.
moving on, Nathan. Thanks for calling
Appreciate
in,
it.
bro.
See you, Nathan.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Peter.
it, man. Right
See
on.
ya. Bye.
Hey, Reed, if anybody disagrees with us, move them to the front of the queue. QUEUE. Link to the call-in chat. So Nathan's a good dude. Super happy he called in. Oh, well, there's no one else in the queue. Oh, well.
We kicked you off early, Nathan.
We kicked Nathan off early. I thought there were other people in the queue. No one wants to talk to us. Someone said, what was that guy with his black in his name? He wanted to chat. I feel bad that I kicked Nathan out. Blackout, I thought.
Blackout.
Did I miss? I'm just going through that.
John Box says, I do.
All right, John, come on up, bro. This is your moment.
Click on the link.
Oh, and I wanted to go up. Some people said, why did Eric not show up? We were supposed to do a live stream. In fact, I went to bed super early last night because I had to travel across the city to come to Reed's. He was sick. Yeah. So he called Lita and said he was sick. You're welcome, Pills and Array. Appreciate that. And someone said they want more. Who was the super chat? They want more Paul Vanderklay. We could certainly do that. Paul's a super good guy. So that's funny, Travis. It's like some of the videos we do, I thought that they would for sure take off, and they haven't taken off. Like the Paul Vanderklay, I thought for sure. And the one I did on psychedelics, I thought would have been sure. And then others, I'm like, meh. And they don't. Hey, we got someone here. Someone in a dark room. I just see their huge head in a dark room. Can't hear you.
Sounded like a chipmunk for a second.
Yeah. Can't hear you. I think we're gonna have to kick him out, Reed. Can't hear you, man. Sorry.
Sounded like your voice was fast forwarding.
Yeah, sounded like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes those videos take off and sometimes those videos don't take off.
Yeah. It's
And
hard
I
to
don't know
guess.
why they take off and I don't know why they don't take off. All
Yeah.
right, cool. We got somebody. Robin Hoodsta. Robin Hoodsta, coach.
What kind of
Hello,
coach are you?
how's it going?
Good. What kind? I'm just wondering the same thing. What kind of coach are you?
Gymnastics.
Wow.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I was calling in because no one else is doing it, and I was like to say I like what you guys do. I also agree with pretty much all your opinions. I'm against religion, against gender ideology.
I'm against faith, not religion, but yes, I'm against under evidenced beliefs or extending the confidence in a belief beyond the warrant of the evidence.
Pretty much same over here. I did some street epistemology this summer. I think it was very hard to get people to participate. So I don't know if you guys have any advice to know how to get people to join in or.
Get an attractive young woman to ask people.
Yep, 100%. We noticed that the people who will come over to us by far, if I stand on and say, whatever I say, it's nothing compared to if an attractive young woman goes over and says, hey, you want to be in a YouTube interview or what have you?
In Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Works
Yeah,
great.
sounds like a good idea. Unfortunately, I don't know any hot girls. I don't really have any friends to start with, so.
You don't have any friends? Why don't you have any friends?
Well, ever since I turned vegan, people started hating me.
Well, how do they know you're vegan?
I'm an animal rights activist as well.
Oh, so do you talk about it all the time?
If they're engaged in a conversation, yes, but it's not about diet, it's about animal rights.
No, but like, why would your being a vegan prevent you from having friendships?
Do you bring it up a lot?
Yeah.
Unprovoked?
Not that I bring it a lot, but if people want to talk about people it would always come up. Like if people ask me to come for dinner, I'm always going to deny because I don't want to be sitting around people eating dead bodies. But
so you won't even be with another person when they eat meat?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's limited. So I guess I kind of don't understand.
It would be the same as if someone was eating dog around you. Like, would you sit around and let people eat dog next to you?
You're right. I would not let people eat dog next to me.
Yeah, I don't see any difference between animals. Like if it's a monkey, a dog, a cow, a sheep, they all have feelings. They all want to live their life, and they all feel pain.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop someone from eating.
No, I wouldn't stop someone from eating dog. I was wondering if I am kind of an evangelist about jujitsu, but I'm not an evangelist, right?
Yeah,
but I'm not.
I'm not going to stop people from eating it, but I don't want to be around it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't ask you if you do jujitsu.
I did.
You did, but you don't anymore?
No, I did all kind of sport, but I try to stick to gymnastics now, and I snowboard in the winter.
Do you I think gymnastics would be a kind of a cool thing. I don't know if my body could do any gymnastics.
That'd be tough.
Yeah. Well,
it's hard on your body enough.
Yeah.
There's this new section in gymnastics where we only I teach parkour and ninja classes. I don't actually do
ninja classes.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Do you throw shurikens? Do you throw stars at people?
No, it's more like American Ninja Warrior. I don't know if you've ever seen that show where it's obstacle courses above water. Like we don't have water in our gym, but it's just obstacle course, like running up walls and cool parkour stuff.
My friend Jim in the chat asked, "What would get you to be less of an animal rights activist?"
If animals were free.
What do you mean free? Oh, you mean not? You mean like hunting? If people hunted them?
I still think there would be a right violations to take their lives from them because that's pretty much all they have. But to not be in cages would be a great step forward, I would say.
Do you eat Exos? Do you eat snails?
No.
Do you eat oysters?
No. I don't really care if people do. I mean, oysters are like, it's like a very debatable thing. Like in the vegan community, people are debating either if oysters or like all these like sea animals, if they are even sentient, which they have like a nerve ganglion, but they don't have like a brain or a full nervous system. So like before people even start arguing if it's okay to eat like clams and all this stuff, like we should actually debate about like the animals that we know are sentient for sure, like cows and pigs. Like pigs are like the fourth smartest animal, like even smarter than chimps, and like
even smarter than Reed's neighbor over here. All right, cool. Hey, good talking to you, man. We're gonna take Ann, who's coming in. Thanks. Good luck on your gymnastics journey. Reed's on his jiu-jitsu journey, but not a gymnast. Are you on any other journeys? Physical journeys?
I work out a lot.
That's not really
it's no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ann. Where's Ann? Where did she go, Reed? Ann is gone. Ann was just here, and I was all excited to talk to Ann. There's Ann. There she is. I'm looking at Ann. No, but I don't see Ann. All right.
What's in the 3 dots there?
So maybe we go to someone else.
Phil.
Phil. Oh, hey, Phil. How's it going, man?
Hi, Peter.
Hey, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
I hear you made quite a ruckus. Haha.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah? I can hear you. Thank
Okay.
you for getting your settings correct. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
It just saves time.
Yeah, I wore a dress.
Close the YouTube tab. Do you have a YouTube tab? Everybody close their YouTube tabs, please. If you have a YouTube tab open.
Yeah, Phil, I didn't get to meet you there, but I saw you around.
Oh, you didn't go to the Vietnamese place with us?
No, at the GenSpec conference.
Yeah.
I was in the back filming, and we showed my series there.
Yeah, we went to Vietnamese.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what this call-in show is, but I saw it was live, and I was like, oh, I'll go see if I can get in there.
Cool. Yeah. You have anything on your mind you want to talk
people?
about? No, just whatever people want to talk about, or whatever they want to, just BS or just whatever, anything on anybody's mind. We have no agenda, right, Travis? We have no agenda. We're just sitting here chilling. We had a guest cancel today, and I kind of threw off our day.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's life, right?
All right. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could explain that controversy at the gender conference if
Sure. I thought it was a great conference, and I felt that really kind of depressed that it was derailed by, frankly, Kelly J sharing the photo with Laura at the Detransitioner. I felt like that was an amazing conference, and the controversy seemed to me to be somewhat manufactured, and it was just unfortunate.
So in 2 sentences, you were in a dress, and
this same one actually. Yeah.
Okay, so give us
outfits.
Literally no more than 30 seconds, and that means not 31 seconds or above. Summarize the event.
So the GenSpec conference is a conference because they're against gender ideology broadly, and they want to curtail medical transition for transsexualism. And they had a lot of people speaking there to that end. And like Travis said, it went really well at the conference, and it was overall a very positive thing. And then like you said, Kelly J. Keane got started like a struggle session, and it got really out of hand.
She did. Yeah. It was effectively a woke mob. I mean, those people maybe don't want to call themselves woke, but that's essentially what it was. An online woke mob, like criticizing GenSpec and Stella.
GenSpec because of the dress
because
issue?
they allowed Phil to be there.
Oh, his very presence.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, so they weren't upset about the cloth that you had on there, except about you as a person being there?
Both.
That
I was wearing female typical garb while being an out autogynephile.
Right.
And for people who don't know, again, briefly, and someone asked in the chat how we choose people. Well, it was first come, first serve, and then we waited and didn't have anybody. And now we have no agenda. We just pull people up. There's just we had someone had tech issues. We just pull people up. Okay, so for people who don't know, autogynephilia is.
It's a sexual romantic attraction to being a woman. It's male heterosexuality inverted towards yourself instead of towards other people.
And are they upset that you are an autogynephile? Is that what the point of contention was?
Yeah, they portrayed it. The people doing the struggle session portrayed it as me parading my fetish, in their words, that I was wearing fetish gear and trying to include everyone in my sexuality by virtue of wearing female typical garb.
And did anybody approach you and say that to you?
Not at the conference, no. No, I got along with pretty much everyone, and no one said that.
Oh, interesting. So, so the problem then, so what was the problem? Was that, so if you just had like clothes like I have on, like jeans and a t-shirt, and just Doc Martens, would that have been a problem letting you in, or was there something else?
It's hard to say because that's not how I would have dressed, but I think even if I had dressed that way, the fact that I was autogynephilic and physically like in public, and like that the organization had mentioned me in one of their tweets, that would have still induced a struggle session, I think.
Yeah, I think at some point, Travis, we should talk about that. We should talk about that controversy. Yeah. Not now, because I want to get through. I want to just talk to a bunch of folks, but I do think it's interesting, and I do think it's a kind of a fissure or a fracture in. Sure. Yeah. So at some point we should talk about that. All right, Phil. Well, thanks for calling, man. Thanks for just talking with us.
Yeah.
And I don't go to Portland very often, but if we do, we'll have Vietnamese again or something.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'd like to see you again.
Right on, man. We'll see you, bro. All right. Who's next?
No. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, hi. Hi, Pierre. Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
All right, what's your name?
My name is John Bach.
Hey, John. Travis, John.
Oh, hey, nice to meet you, Travis.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, man?
No, nothing much. I know. Yeah, I've commented. I mean, maybe you might recognize my name. Like well, actually, yeah. Before I get to that, yeah, I've read your book. What was it? How to become like an atheist. What was it? The Atheist Manual.
A Manual for Creating Atheists.
Yeah. So I read that twice, and yeah, it was
cool.
It was a great book. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
And I know you might have seen my comments and stuff like that. I know one thing that I feel that's kind of missing to this whole, trans and kids debate is, I guess like the castrati singers and stuff like that. I know it's something that I've brought up a lot of times. I mean, I guess for those who don't know what the castrati singers were, so they were around like the late 1500s to the early 1900s. There's actually a recording of one castrati who, made it to the 20th century, and that castrati, he
where are you going with this, man? Where are you going?
So where I'm going is that I feel that this is not that I feel that it should like belong, I guess like with the whole debate, because this is like an historical thing where, people had like where, kids had irreversible surgery. How the trans kids and stuff, and then there's the castrati singers, like, because what they did was they castrated the kids, and that they said, oh, well, if the kids get castrated and stuff, then they would become like famous opera singers. And so so that was like going on, and there was like a lot of similarities, but between like castrati singers and trans kids today. And I feel that's
it's interesting. You want to try to steel man the castrati singers?
Yeah, and I could show you like a lot of links to be honest. But it was really crazy. Like, what they did was the voices became like higher pitched and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so, when a child, well, like, the voice of a child, it's like very, like it's very much like that. And when they were castrated, the voice stayed that way. And so they had a higher pitched voice, and it was very unnatural and stuff like that. And even people during that era, they were like against that. There were, there's like people, the 1600s. Yeah. And I feel that because, I have a music background, and, that's why I'm like talking about this. Like, so, when people started talking about trans kids, I was like, this is something that hit me personally, because this is something I learned about in school. And...
All right. Well, we appreciate that, John. That's good to bring it to everyone's attention. And Reed pulled up the thing, and we're gonna try to wrap it through to get to as many people as we can. But
okay. But thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Sure, John. Thanks, man. The Castrati Singers. There you go. I almost steel-manned it. who do we have here? Hello, sir.
Hi. How you doing?
Shu.
Yeah.
Hi, Shu. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to talk to you. I really enjoy how you engage with other people and help them move through their ideas and come to some sort. I really like how you help people clarify their own thoughts. That's one of my favorite things about how you interact with other human beings. Nice. Toward that end, I don't care about woke issues really at all.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to not care about them. Yeah.
I know. I don't have to either. And it seems that people are really happy when I keep my opinions to myself. So that's a win-win. I'm curious. I do care about other things, and I'm just curious what your thoughts are about UFO disclosure. How important in the hierarchy of things is UFO disclosure to you? I don't care about. That's what I care about. I feel like if we get certain things, a lot of problems take care of themselves, right? And that's top of my list. So
top of your list. Okay,
it's the first thing.
The first
thing. I'm curious,
okay.
In your hierarchy of needs, as far as like societal needs or your own personal desires.
Great. So
where does that fall?
Okay. So let me be absolutely unequivocally crystal clear. I do not believe that the U.S. government is in possession of alien craft. In fact, we did a wonderful Spectrum Street epistemology with Michael Schellenberger and Shermer. When's that coming out? In a few days, day or two. No, I don't know. It's coming out soon. Is it coming out? Who the fuck knows when it's coming out? I don't know when it's coming out. It's coming out. But I do not believe the U.S. government is in possession. I also believe this is one of the few things with bipartisan support. I also believe in full disclosure. So if it is the case, if it's some crazy black ops program, I would be shocked. Shermer has some good stuff on the Michael Shermer Show podcast. He's had people on.
Yeah,
I will say that I have a very good one of my best friends is absolutely literally 100% convinced that, and you know who it is. I'm not going to say that.
You know who it is.
Who is absolutely completely convinced that this is true. But in terms of my own personal hierarchy, I would put that so far down on the list because I just don't think it's the case. What do you think?
If I were to put it on a scale, 0 being unimportant, 10 being highly important, I would put it on a 0.
Okay, let me.
Can I clarify?
Yeah, but one second. So, is the reason you wouldn't put it on 1? I mean, wouldn't an advantage of putting it on maybe even up to 3 be that other people would be like, oh wow, I was hoodwinked, or I thought this, like, even, or the fence sitters would be like, okay, it's not true. Wouldn't that be a reason to?
Well, I guess I was saying what I personally care about in terms of whether or not it's real, not how other people are reacting to it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we're gonna move on. Real quick.
It's more. I don't care. It's not so much about UFOs. It's about truth in the government. That kind of disclosure. Like, how does that change your answer?
No. But we appreciate your Shu coming on and appreciate your support. Thanks, man.
I appreciate you guys too.
Take care.
Right on. All right, cool. Hey, Paul, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
I was just looking up a couple of things because I saw. So first of all, I just wanted to say appreciate you having me on. I really like the talks that you do with Billboard Chris, and when you like go to universities and you put people, like on a spectrum based on like strongly agree or strongly disagree. I like the way you do that because you don't really take a side and you just kind of let them talk, and that's something that a lot of people don't do, and I really appreciate. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
One thing to linger on that for a second, I've learned that no matter what I do, people are hypercritical. So
For sure.
one of the videos I did, we did in Spectrum Street Epistemology with Chris. I personally didn't think some of Chris's answers were clear, so I asked him about clarity.
Yeah.
I asked him to clarify, and then I get all these comments. Look, Boghossian favors him. Boghossian favors him. But if I went to the other guy and asked him the same kinds of questions, people would say, "Look, he's picking on him. Why is he? He's not doing it to the other guy." So people always have a lens through which they perceive.
I just watched that video the other day.
Yeah, that's it right there. And when you look at some of the comments on those reviews, and I used to never read comments, but I do. But it's always like, oh, Boghossian has agenda, but no matter what I do, it would manifest the lens that they already have.
Right.
Anyway,
like,
go ahead.
At least it's fine. That was all helpful perspective. Like, at least from me seeing it from like a third party looking in, I could tell that I think I know where you stand on the issues, but you're completely different from Chris because you let people express themselves more. He has an obvious agenda that he's like, projecting onto people, which is fine because that's what he does. That's his thing. But like the reason I like you is because of how you just let people voice their opinions, and you let people elaborate. It's say, oh, okay, I'm surprised you were on strongly agree. Tell me about that, for example.
Okay, so let's linger on this. So one thing that we did a lot of in Puerto Rico and London and other places is after we have to remember to keep doing this, is I would ask people, what line do you think I'd be on? Remember that? Yeah, what line do you think I'd be on? And the best thing that could happen is they would say, I don't know. The next best thing that could happen is they would put you on the other line.
So I feel like I could tell where you stood just based on your line of questioning, even though you weren't overtly out and saying, this is what I believe, this is my position, and you weren't even really arguing against people. You were just allowing them to elaborate. But I still feel that I could tell where you stood, and that's kind of where. Yeah, like I'm a right-wing person, I'm anti-woke, I'm anti-kids, transgender ideology, whatever you want to call it. But I still felt that I related to you in that just based on the way that you were presenting yourself. And it was awesome. It was great. It wasn't you weren't confrontational at all. And I think the people that you were speaking to could detect that and were more open to talking to you because of that, because somebody like Chris, and I love Chris, I watch his channel a lot, but he's kind of a lot more of a confrontational style than you are. And I think that makes a big difference when you're talking to people.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we were in Portland State with James Klug, I
watched that video too.
Yeah, University of Oregon. People would say things like, "Oh, these guys are trained. They've been trained to keep calm."
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
and is that negative?
And if it were like, what are you trained to keep? God, just all right. Well, we got to move on. Do you have anything else?
No problem. No, that's it. I just wanted to say that I totally believe that the U.S. government is in possession of alien spacecraft. So I disagree with you on that one. So, yeah, and I don't really understand why that would not be important to you, but maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Well, let me just put it this way: if that were the case, to say that I would be flabbergasted would be an understatement. But I would agree with you. 100%.
The government lies to us a lot.
I would agree with you 100%. Not only that it would not be important, it would be as important, if not more important, than the discovery of fire.
It would be one of the most.
I agree. I think it would be.
I disagree. Important. It would be the most important. The possession of alien craft.
See, but that doesn't match you saying a 0 on a 1 to 10 scale of it, not of the importance scale that you answered on the previous question.
It's just
it does because it's the same. I can apply that same thing to God, because if God does exist, then that is the most important thing, and we should know.
Correct.
But I don't. It just doesn't matter to me.
Correct. All right.
I'm surprised so many people don't think so. All right, take care, guys. Good talking to you.
Paul. Thanks, bro. Who do we got next going on? Omar. Hi, Omar. You look familiar. Do we know each other?
No. I hope we would, but we don't.
Okay. Cool. Hey, man.
So hey, just here. So I was an atheist. I became an atheist at about 14, being raised in a Catholic home, and now I've learned more things. So, is the only alternative to theism materialism?
No.
But well, do you subscribe to that?
I don't recognize that they're binaries. So it's not like, well, you're either an atheist. I mean, just again, there are many ways to translate atheist. Here's one translation, a non-stamp collector. Here's another translation. I don't think there's a sufficient evidence to warrant belief in a god or gods, but if I were given that evidence, I would believe. That's not in opposition to materialism. And instead of materialism, I don't really like the word materialism, naturalism.
Okay.
Probably be better.
So many philosophers nowadays talk about emergence, for example.
Yeah.
And strong. Do you believe in that? And if so, whether it's in strong emergence or in soft emergence?
You mean what do you mean?
Well, strong emergence is like actual new properties come out when you have a collection of things, and soft emergence is just like it's a softer version of that, like not actual new properties come out, but here's a better
properties. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about mereological nihilism?
Literally nothing. Do you have any thoughts about it, Travis?
I don't know what that is.
It's basically to say that the only thing that actually exists is particles. Like only like people don't actually exist. We're just the composites of our parts. Do you believe that, or do you believe that people actually exist?
So I think studying philosophy for a long time and reading, I'm the opposite of Helen Pluckrose. Like Helen Pluckrose will find an idea that's just nonsense and she'll just never stop reading about it through some weird OCD thing.
Okay.
I'll hear, read, phenomenology, or I'll hear something and there's simply no reason to think that. There's simply no reason to adopt that as a valid lens through which to view the world. And yes, by the way, Reed, people do need to show their face. But all right, cool. We're whipping on, bro.
Can I close?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just think that maybe naturalism and mereological nihilism, maybe they sound like they go very well together, and I have a problem with that. But well, maybe another time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't see how that's the case, but I guess I don't see how that's the case, but that's another conversation for another day. All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Guys.
Thanks, Amar. We'll see you. Hey, Joel, what's up, dude? And if you want to jump in.
How much you guys got my voice and everything? We good?
Yep, we're good to go. Hey, man.
Hey, big fan. I watch all your stuff all the time. It's great.
Oh,
Sometimes
thank you.
Some conversations with my children, which is pretty cool. But
nice.
I missed at UCF. I have a buddy of mine who shall remain nameless who went and saw you. He's faculty and tried to get there, but
Charles Nagy was. Yeah.
Well, he was. We've discussed him with my friend, but my friend also he's somebody there. And so we kind of be careful with this situation. I'm sure you understand.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. Just a quick background. Like I'm kind of the enigma of all enigmas. I used to teach at UCF. I taught dance for like 16, 17 years, and kind of left because of the fact that I wouldn't subscribe to a lot of the woke things that went on there. And it's crazy because I'm half Native American, Mohawk. My grandfather and my grandmother were from Six Nations, Ontario, Canada. I had people calling me a white supremacist, and I'm like, it's so crazy how things would go, and people you would think, and people who've known me, who like been to my house, how they would turn on a dime and have these like absolutely ridiculous positions is just crazy.
It's been ideologically captured, the administration. You were with us with Charles Nagy, right?
Yeah. Well, people called Daryl Davis a white supremacist. So
yeah. And I left basically, like, I don't teach dance except for private lessons now. I do that and I'm a caregiver. I do lots of things, but about 8 years I left. I walked away from it because it was so absurd.
The place is a cesspool.
Yeah, and I was dumbfounded by the way that people could jump from one thing to another, and they were like making it seem like my words were the worst thing on the planet when I would say guys and girls or ladies and gentlemen. That was impolite.
Words are violence.
Oh my God! And what was funny, or not funny, it's sad more than anything, is that like my father being half Native American, he actually, a cool fact, he was small minority businessman of the year back in the 80s, went to the White House, got a plaque from Ronald Reagan. But you had people like calling me names like that. And it's crazy. You know, the other one, my wife is from another country. And they were just like, oh, you're xenophobic because you want a border. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how they can keep going. But let me ask you, I know that your position from what you have said is that you kind of want things to kind of burn and kind of start anew.
Correct.
New things going on. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that that's a distinct possibility. And sometimes like things like with Elon and what he's doing is actually producing some results that we're in favor of as far as dialogue and people being able to speak their mind. I see a lot of things like with the trans issues, which has been going on a lot. It's funny to me because it almost seems like it'd be the simplest solution if everybody could just simply stop for a moment and go on definitions. For example,
we say that all the time.
Sports are not according to your gender; they are according to your biological sex.
Okay,
and
so we have
stop and just don't go right in that direction, and you'd end all of the arguments about it.
Yeah, we've stressed that all the time. All right, cool. We're gonna move on. We'll give you the last word.
Yeah. Do you see a little bit of change with some of the people who are now, I guess, with as far as like the sports thing, especially the women are finally speaking up, and I can leave you with one question too. Where the heck are all of the scientists, the biologists who should be able to step up and say, listen, okay, this part of the construct is there, but what about the actual biology? And they just are that scared that they can't do that.
All right. So Jerry Coyne has spoken up about that. My friend Luanja from Williams spoken up with that. We have Colin Wright has spoken about that. People with
like 5 of them.
Yeah, like 5 of them. Everybody else, I have something to say to you in no uncertain terms. You're cowards. You are the reason why the institution must burn, because you're fucking cowards. You're afraid to speak truth. You're afraid to speak truth in the face of danger. You're a disgrace. That's all I have to say. All right, cool. Next up. Thanks, bro. Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Hey, Peter. It's great talking to you. I'm a big fan.
Oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Okay. So I'll try and make this quick. I know you're running through a lot of different questions. I am someone who believes in trans people, that what they're doing is not entirely socially constructed. Do you believe the same thing? Just out of curiosity, do you believe it's all socially constructed? It's all sort of made up, or do you think there's some sort of biological thing going on?
That's a good question. You want to take that? You take that first, then I'll take that.
What do you mean by the whole thing is socially constructed?
I mean, like, there's like, if we chop someone's brain open, right, and you took all the trans people, you chopped all those brains up, and there would be no way to find a correlation between anything, and basically they were all just making it up. So
well, actually, I talked to Colin Wright specifically about that, and he talked about the studies that were done more recently on, this sort of idea that there's a gendered brain, and he said that they don't control for homosexuality. So people who are trans are more likely to be gay. Trans. So they're probably just not filtering for that. So your brain can be more masculinized if you're a female. Your brain can be more feminized if you're a male. That doesn't mean you have the opposite sex brain. But yeah, so I would agree. I think it ultimately is socially constructed. And what's interesting about it is that for psychological distress, any other kind of psychological distress, we don't categorize people. We don't put them in a new category of human being. With BPD or schizophrenia or depression, they're just people who suffer that kind of distress, and I think it's the same thing with gender dysphoria.
No, I would agree wholeheartedly. So generally, the way that I see it, and I'm curious, I'll sort of give you my take, and then I guess we'll see if we agree or disagree. Is so that, like, when I see a trans person, right, like, instead of like saying someone has depression or like someone is like their depression, right, you would say someone has gender dysphoria, right? Do you believe in gender dysphoria as like a valid psychiatric diagnosis?
I would probably call it sex dysphoria, but yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just using the term in the DSM-5. So, like, sure. I mean, to me, it's generally the same. Like I said, I'm not one of those people who like thinks that there's a million genders or anything. I'm just the way that I see it, right, is you have sort of these institutions. It seems like there is something to say that there is something there. It's a little bit beyond just being social. Obviously, there's a huge social component to being trans, but it almost seems like in your conversations, and I love your epistemology, by the way, it is like one of the things that has helped me out of so many dumb rabbit holes, right? It almost seems like we're not applying it as rigorously as we could, right? Because it almost seems like every single time the trans argument is brought up, it always gets filtered in with all of this garbage, right? Like we get all of this different stuff that basically just flat out doesn't apply, right? Like you get people saying like it makes people feel bad, it does this, does that, but that's not really getting to the issue of if they really exist. So I'm kind of curious. Like, I mean, it seems like in my observation, the studies that I've seen, there's been valid evidence to show that there is something more than it's just entirely socially constructed. Do you have a counterclaim to that?
Well, yeah, just to, I guess, make a distinction, I do think, you know, I don't think depression is socially constructed in the sense that there's no biological component to what's going on in the brain. So that's not what I was saying about gender dysphoria.
Okay,
Yeah.
my apologies.
I was saying the category of trans it is essentially a social construct. People can certainly suffer from gender dysphoria, or I would call it, you know, sex dysphoria, or it could be body dysmorphia. But no, I don't think that they're making this up, you know, but I think it's often socially caused as well.
And to add on to that point, there's probably a lot of people who sort of hop on the bandwagon, so to speak, for social credit. I'm sure you've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot. Yeah. I went to a university and I saw a lot of that happening. And it was really annoying because it almost seems like you see a lot of people who are sort of suffering from this illness and they're trying to get treatment and they're trying to fit in and they're trying to, you know, just be normal people. And then you have this other group who's just over here saying all of these things that are like just sort of muddying all the waters, because you have people saying, well, a woman is anything you identify as. Well, it's like, it's not necessarily true. At least what I've observed, right? A woman is basically, you see something, it looks as a woman. That's pretty much a woman, in my opinion, right?
Cool. No, we gotta move on soon, Matt. We had a lot of people in the queue.
Okay, I'm just curious, Peter. Do you disagree with anything I've just said, or do you, for the most part, agree?
I think, first of all, it's not my area of expertise, and I think it's important when you speak out of your area of expertise, when you render an opinion, you tell people it's not your area of expertise. My understanding broadly comports with what Travis said. I don't know. I mean, I think I said in the Helen Joyce interview, I was operating under the 0.6 figure. In fact, Reed and I, actually Travis again heard that last night. I don't know. I mentioned it to someone who has a PhD in anthropology, cultural anthropology, and an MD in medicine, someone I respect tremendously. And she said to me, if you think gender is a social construct, then why wouldn't the entire idea itself be socially constructed? I thought that was a very interesting point. But I think 100%. That the way to answer that question is not through kind of trying to reason it out. It's through facts and evidence, and specifically scientific data, and even more specifically, for example, brain scans or what have you, at least in principle, to see if it falls in the domain of science, to see if it's a hypothesis that we can test through the best available, or at least at some point along the technological continuum. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Can I give you one question and then I'll dip out? It's a moral question and you can
quick.
So if you knew 100% that someone was trans, would you use their pronouns and respect them as if they were a normal woman, so to speak? I know that's kind of pejorative.
Oh, I use Buck Angel's a friend of mine, and I just did it right there. I use his pronouns. Yeah, I have no problem. Deidre McCluskey's. I'm friendly with Deidre McCluskey.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm gonna pop out.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, same. I love Buck. I'll use his pronouns. I don't
Buck's care. Awesome. All right, who are we doing?
Oh, hey. Hi.
Hey, Nate. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Nice to speak with you. I have a channel. I do street epistemology. So,
cool.
Nice. In many ways, I guess I owe not all of that, but some of that to you, Peter.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome.
Travis, I'm not really familiar with you, but hello.
Travis is awesome. Good buddy.
All right, cool. I've got a few different questions. Mostly it has to do with street epistemology and how what you're doing kind of fits into street epistemology and that sort of thing. So I guess one of my first ones was, if you would mind just kind of like detailing some of your like priorities with what you do with public outreach and what you're doing on YouTube and social media, et cetera. And what are your main priorities, and how does promoting or street epistemology as a way to like improve public discourse fit into those priorities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So increasingly, and I was just talking to Reed about that. Reed Nice Wonder, yes?
Right. Yep.
President of Street Epistemology International. He is but feet from my left. One of the things that we've been doing, or I've been doing specifically, is I've been using it to help people communicate across divides, political divides, social divides, moral divides. The problem with that is you never really know who you're going to get, because you're doing it in random, like parks and random people, and you can't always do that. But that would be one shift that I've made. So it's gone from a one-on-one. Of course, you have like videos with people talking to Mormons, etc. With two-on-ones or what have you. Oh, thank you, Wolf, for the donation. We're donation based, and all this, everything we raise goes into the nonprofit. So that's one thing. The second thing is, so how to have impossible, like based upon the book, how to have impossible conversations, how to get more civility. And, I always ask people, or not always, I very frequently ask people, not do you agree, but do you understand? And then I go back to Rappaport's first rule. So what is it? And we've been doing something now that I absolutely love. Not always, but almost always, if someone stands on the strongly disagree and the strongly agree, we have little whiteboards, and we ask them to write down the best reason they have for being on those lines, and then, or those mats, and then we ask the other people to guess what their reasons are. And more often than not, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they cannot guess the best reason. Certainly not in the first.
Almost never.
Yeah. And I find that fascinating. And to be very blunt with you, I also find that incredibly depressing, because people don't even know what the reason is. But we've also, so there's one that we see on the screen. She was in a march actually against abortion, and we're asking, I think was it Francis or Constantine, one of those guys, to why they. So we use it that way, and we're also using it. Oh yeah, it was Francis Foster from trigonometry, and so that's one thing. We're also made a lot of additions and changes, but it depends who we have on the line. We also reset the lines now much more frequently to the reasons that people give. One of the things I'll do is I'll just kind of rapid fire questions initially to just kind of get a broad picture of somebody's, not even epistemology wouldn't even be, but just the conclusions. And then once I have that, then we drill down on some of those reasons.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that sometimes.
I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah, at least somewhat. I guess the other thing would be like, so I see like how you're using street epistemology. Like, do you see it as like something that you want to try to promote, or is it just something that like using it you see as like a way of promoting it?
What we would love to do is, we did this at Eton and we had teachers come up. I would love to see I'd love to see it ubiquitously adopted, but specifically I'd love to see it adopted in K through 12 as an adjunct pedagogical model. I'd love to see
I'm a high school teacher, and I have a club where we do street epistemology in the club that we have. So
yeah, I'd love to see it adopted in the classrooms and you don't need mats. And we're talking about putting mats on our store and selling them at cost. It's not about making money. It's just to help people communicate across divides, see if to judge, for them to judge the quality of their reasons through targeted questions, to calibrate their confidence in their beliefs through the reason and evidence. So I'd love to see this ubiquitously adopted, but particularly in K through 12 education.
Yeah, cool. You were talking a little bit about the spectrum street epistemology earlier. And doing that, and you were mentioning the difficulty with definitions with one of the earlier callers. So this wasn't one of my original questions, but it came to me. A lot of times, like in street epistemology, we try to use the definitions that our interlocutors are using, and just ask questions about like how they're using that word, and don't really want to try to correct them.
Correct.
Just kind of roll with their terms. When you're doing SE with a group who has different definitions, what kind of challenges does that present, and does that become like a really big hurdle for some conversations?
Yeah, that's a terrific question. So one of the things I'll do is I'll walk and I'll just say, okay, let's see if we can. You don't have to fully agree, but can we just use this as a placeholder definition? Because if you can't even get people to agree to that, then the problem is you can't even have a conversation. So you need people to agree to some kind of initial, and then I'll tell them like we can change this, we can chisel it away, we can do what you'd like to do, but we have to have something to start the conversation. So that's what we try. Cool.
Yeah, and then I've just got a couple more if it's okay, if I haven't used up all my time. All right,
last one, real quick.
All right, so it's kind of a two-parter. So first of all, and Travis, you can answer this as well. Do you consider yourselves open to belief revision regarding like a lot of the kind of like woke topics that you tackle?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Why wouldn't
Excellent. And then I guess the other one follow-up would just be, what sort of things could you learn in the future? You know, I'm a street epistemologist, so I got to ask this question. What sort of things could you learn in the future that would possibly change your confidence in, for example, like the legitimacy of like trans identity, either up or down?
Identity itself, or I mean, what you answer that, and then
I guess it does depend on what you mean by that specifically. But yeah, I'd be happy to change my mind. I mean, I said earlier that I don't think trans is a sort of a real category. I think it's an odd, like, I don't think it needs to be a category. But I would change my mind if I saw some new data and evidence by people that are...
Mute your thing, please.
Oh yeah, there's some kids in the background or something. By people who are not pushing an ideological agenda, but just want to put the best data forward, I'd happily change my mind.
Yeah, or if people didn't intentionally destroy or obfuscate the data that we had that existed, like the Tavistock Clinic data. And once people start doing that, I become not only suspicious, that is an absolute red flag when they destroy existing data.
So they destroyed it. They certainly didn't do follow-ups on the kids, which is insane. But
yeah, well, we can talk about that off camera. The stuff they did. All right, cool. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it. We're moving
thanks,
on.
Guys. Have a good night.
Yep.
You too.
Hey, Chad. How's it going, man?
Hi, Chad.
Oh, you're muted. Chad's muted.
My bad.
There you go.
Sorry
All
about
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
to
It's
see
all
you
good.
guys. Thank you guys
Hey, man.
for doing this. This is really cool. So I wanted to just compliment you on. I really enjoyed the Paul Vanderklay episode that you did, and I've been following Paul for at least a few years now, and like you asked why there wasn't a lot of traction on that video, and I was
Why
thinking,
do you think?
It's a lack of red meat. I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, the guy isn't that confrontational, so it's like, he's kind of winsome, as they say. But that's why I think there are a lot of us who have been following him. Not a lot. I think he only has like 27,000 subscribers or something. But he does a type of modeling a little different than what you're doing, but the same, I think, a similar attitude of like trying to actually have like good conversations and meaningful conversations. And I was wondering if you're familiar with his estuary work at all, and if you like, I think it would be cool if you had a conversation with him where he does these things, he calls them like randos conversations, where he basically he gets your story, right? He doesn't get into all the I don't know how to put it. I'm kind of rambling because I wanted to bring this up because I think he's doing meaningful work like you're doing, but he doesn't get the kind of eyes that you get. So it's a little fanboy on my behalf.
So I think Paul's fantastic. It's the first time I've ever met him in real life. We were supposed to do an event in Oregon when I lived in Oregon at a church, actually, and then the pandemic canceled the event. But we met at ARC and we did it. I thought he was an honest interlocutor. I thought he was very sincere. I loved that conversation, and I was super disappointed that did not get more eyeballs. I think it was a really good example, if I may. I hope this doesn't sound too self-aggrandizing, but of two people who were very sincere and very honest and spoke openly and were forthright with each other about some pretty significant differences that they had. And I thought it was, I thought he's a very kind soul, and I really enjoyed that conversation. Cool. All right. Thanks, Chad. We appreciate it. We're moving on. Right on, man.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks. Who's next? Blackout. Hello, Blackout. How you doing, man?
Hello. I'm pretty nervous, to be honest. This is literally the first time I've ever shown myself on the internet.
Wow.
I actually just wanted to say hi. Don't really have much to say. Just thank you for all your work. It really helps to see some people fighting the shit in this nonsense. It is what I want to say. You know how they always talk about suicide prevention from trans people and that stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about the suicidal. I can't talk. Sorry, it's late. About suicide of the people trapped in this nonsense. Like all this gaslighting really takes a toll on your psyche. You know.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there. Not because of that, but I know how it feels, and it is really really hard. You know. You see their tricks. You see exactly what they're doing, but you also see so many people fall for it, and you can't really do anything. Sorry that I don't really look in the camera. I have it on the screen as well. And
that's okay, man. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Well, we appreciate you calling in there, Blackout. Thanks, and I think you did a good job.
By the
We
way,
need to do more of these. Everybody's so nice to us. I was expecting like everybody to start screaming that we're Nazis.
Literally, you and James Lindsay are literally my favorite people in this entire.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. That's very
starting
kind.
with that whole what was it called? What was it called again?
Grievance studies.
Exactly. Thanks. It's late. Yeah, that one was really a wake-up call for so much stuff, and it really helped. And Travis, I love your stuff too. It's just
thank you.
nothing against you. It's just this duality between one is and I mean I comment on all as well and make jokes there. Literally, I think yesterday you answered me. What I want to say is, it's really this duality. One analyzes all this insane. Again, what was the word? Their writings, all of their theories, and explains them in simple language, and you can use it to show other people what is nonsense. And the other one goes on the street and looks what the people think and actually makes them think. And I love that duality. That is, I think it's really helpful right now.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it, Blackout. Thanks for talking to us.
You.
We appreciate it, and we'll catch you later, man. You did a great job. So, Reed, more people. This is nice. Everybody's being nice to us. I was really expecting 1,000 people calling us, telling us what horrible human beings we are. Hey, Steve, how's it going, man?
Steve.
Hey, Peter. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Right on.
Been watching your videos for a while. They're awesome. Love the street epistemology. A couple questions. One serious about your work, and one a little bit more fun. Pretty quick though. So, like I said, I've been watching your videos for a while. A lot of times previously you'd be like in lecture halls and outdoors sometimes, and I just wanted to ask, I feel like more recently you've been jumping to new claims a lot more.
Correct.
And
that is correct.
If you think that's been working well, or like how you decide when to jump to a new claim, or like your thoughts on that.
That's a great question. So one of the things we do is what we're trying to do is right in the beginning, we'll just fire a lot of questions to kind of
claims.
Yeah. Excuse me. God, I can't believe Reed's rolling his eyes over there. We fire a lot of claims at people right off the get-go, just so that I can see what beliefs cohere and where they are, and if I'm on the line, so they can see where I am. And then we then use that as a way to dig down on further claims and then look at the reasoning of those claims. That's the goal. That's the ideal for what we want to do. So I think as long as that model is, there's kind of some fealty to that model of lots of claims initially, and then drilling down on the reasons for some of those claims, specifically when there's a disagreement. I think that's very, very helpful.
Okay. Doing multiple claims allows people to disagree.
Correct. Yeah. So we can also tease out if people have substantive disagreements, and then we can pull out the boards again.
I feel like I kind of miss some of the long form sometimes, which you do with your interviews, which is nice. But I kind of see where you're going, and I like that you're trying different things. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're still doing those interviews. Ideally, I'd like to, Reed and I would like to play around, Travis as well. When we're going to go back to London, we're going to go different places. We'd like to play around with, instead of an interview, just doing spectrum street epistemology with the guests.
Okay, cool.
And we'll see how that works. Yeah. What was your more serious question?
Fun question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Lady Ballers recently. I don't know if you've seen it. I thought Critical Drinker's review was pretty good. What are your thoughts, or how do you rate it out of 10, or thoughts on
I haven't
that?
seen it. Have you seen it?
No, I've just seen the preview.
No, I haven't
Oh,
seen
okay.
it, so I can't say. Sorry, man.
That's okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Ciao.
Take care.
See ya.
Patrick.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Patrick. How's it going, man?
Doing great. And you?
Oh, good. Yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah. We're going to go to dinner soon. So that
appreciate
makes
your
me
work.
better. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've also been reading too few books, especially like the How to Have Impossible Conversations.
I heard that's an unbelievably good book.
Just translated into Japanese.
Yeah, I think it's like its 9th translation or something like that. Yeah, good. Thank you.
So my question would be like, what is your stance on the theories of truth, like correspondence, coherence, deflationary, and so on, pragmatic?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of correspondence theory of truth. I'm a big believer that we can know reality. I think that there are different domains of truth, mathematical truths, empirical truths, and even, dare I say it, moral truths. I know that's a extremely controversial thing to say nowadays. By the way, we have one of the most amazing, in my opinion, one of the most amazing videos we've ever done with a little kid who was like some freaking super genius, like some just crazy super genius that we randomly came across at a park in London. And we talk about the idea of moral truth. Yeah, so big fan of correspondence theory of truth, and that's one of the standouts. And I published a piece about this a few years ago. I've actually published a couple of pieces about this, but one was a popular piece saying that the move towards subjectivity and away from objectivity is one of the things that started the floodgates of madness. So correspondence theory of truth, big fan.
It's similar for me too. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Cool.
Appreciate
Thanks,
your
man.
work,
We
I said.
appreciate your support, Patrick. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Right on. Zagros. That's a cool name.
Thank you. Hello, gentlemen. Hope you're
Hello.
well.
Where are you from, Zagros, if I may ask? Because that's a...
Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, it's Zagros. I'm ethnically Kurdish, but I was born and raised in France, and I now live in Tempe, Arizona.
Is
ASU.
Zagros, is that a Kurdish name, Zagros?
I think the origins of the name is actually Greek, and it would probably be pronounced like Zagros. But
okay.
it's been a long time now that Zagros has been more of a Kurdish name.
Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it comes from the Zagros Mountains, which is like a natural border between Iraq and Iran, which is where my people come from originally, at least
cool.
up
Excellent.
to some arbitrary point in time.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Anyway, now that that's over, what's going on, man? What's on your mind?
So before I ask my serious and existential question,
Yes.
I saw your first podcast with Joe Rogan, where you guys talked a lot about sports, combat sports.
Yeah.
And I decided after watching that I have a lot of energy and combativeness that I'm not putting to good use, and it's like becoming an impediment in my daily life. So I decided to start jiu-jitsu, and I want some advice from you. Like, what should I look for in a, I don't know if that's what it would be called, but in a jiu-jitsu dojo? Like, what question should I ask, for example, the leader to know that I'm at the right place, that I'll get a proper education?
And what city are you in? You're in what city?
Tempe, near Phoenix.
I don't.
Arizona.
Oh, I'll be in Phoenix. I'll be in Phoenix for the conference.
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do jujitsu in Phoenix, so maybe we can roll together. Reed's just beginning his jujitsu journey. Travis is on his jujitsu journey.
I have no experience whatsoever, so it's going to be
so
the first
what you
time
should
I
look
start.
for, what you should look for, as a general rule, the more ritual it is, the more bullshit it is. You know, like bowing, ussing, all the stuff as a general rule. So what should you look for?
I would say generally most of those guys are really nice guys and girls, but that just it's not a very empirical sort of criteria, but test out the vibe. Like how do people treat you? You know, are people friendly? Do they seem genuine?
Yeah. I mean, I've never, and I do this all over the world. and I've never found a single place like 10, 20 years ago. It used to have a bully vibe. Used to go in and people just want to beat the crap out of you. I've never found that at all now. I think, word of mouth of people who live there who are actually good. And you can tell, maybe not you, but once someone's been doing this for sure. I really feel I don't have a good answer for you on this question, but vibe is good, and find someone who's, in a legit purple belt or above, and just ask them like, okay, these guys good. It's a pretty small community and most people know other people. So, and just few quick things when you start rolling, train more than you roll. Don't let anybody touch your head. Never tap from exhaustion. Even if you have to just tap out, that's fine. But just like last night, or was it 2 nights ago, I was rolling with Travis. I was tired. I just like rested. Just find places to rest. It's okay to tap, but never tap from exhaustion. Should always be the last person on the mat. Oh, and I use this stuff that I love. LMNT, I swear by it. Travis uses one. I use 2. Reed doesn't use any. But I can't speak to it highly enough. I could not. It's just an unbelievable. And they're not paying me. I'm not getting anything from it.
It's an electrolyte packet.
Yeah, it's just like, salt and magnesium, potassium. All right, cool. Best of luck in your jiu-jitsu journey. we'll be there in February, and we'll be doing jiu-jitsu there. So let's roll.
I'll be
then.
there as well then.
Right
Can
on,
I
cool.
ask you also my more serious and existential
Oh yeah, hurry,
question?
because we got a lot of people there.
So I kind of feel like we're in like I have a catastrophist view of like what's happening in the West, in North America, with regards to Marxism's re-emergence, meshed with postmodernism, what we call wokeism. I see that it's a movement that's gerrymandering various demographies and almost, making them feel like they have to be dependent and reliant on the left for their very existence, and creating out of these various demographies by gerrymandering them a sort of formidable force, which on their own would almost amount to nothing. Am I perhaps far too gone in how I view this as a catastrophe, or is there actually something to this, do you think?
I don't think that's an existential threat. I do think, as articulated, it is a concern, perhaps a far more concern. I can think of at least 3 things off the top of my head that are far greater concerns. Topping those is the deficit, federal spending, inability to pay back our national debt. It's going to kill us. That and the legitimacy crisis, or the legitimation crisis, the crisis, the lack of trust in our institutions, our engines of knowledge production have been completely compromised by maniacs. All right, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Best of luck on your jiu-jitsu journey. Maybe you'll be rolling with Reed.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
How you doing, guys?
What's up there, Josh, Joe?
So the microscope has been on the systems of education, which I know you, Peter, have said that can't be fixed, or I think you've said that they can't
I have
be redeemed.
said that. Yes.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with John Taylor Gatto.
No, I thought you were going to say Joshua Katz's piece for why he wrote a wonderful piece that Barry republished in the Free Press. I can't remember where it was initially published. I thought you were going to say his piece is the best rebuttal to my view that I've heard.
I'm going to have to go back and look at that. I haven't heard.
Yeah,
that.
it's important. It's important for the conversation. Yeah.
So John Taylor Gatto talks about the history from all the way back to Massachusetts. I'm in Rhode Island, so I'm right there, with Horace Mann, and the idea that they took the education from the Prussian model and put it on our society and tried to make factory workers out of us. And I think if we understand that, why wouldn't you want to take a more anarchist kind of approach and be like, fuck these systems altogether, and be like, get out of the schools? As John Taylor Gatto famously says, we need less schools, not more.
Rather than different.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with the sentiment. I agree with most of it, and I've said repeatedly, I don't think that the schools can be salvaged. I never would ever have believed myself to say what I'm about to say to you, but I was always vehemently opposed to homeschooling. Now I'm a big fan of homeschools. Matt Thornton homeschools his kids. Rob Kramer, who's on my board, has written some great stuff about that of the National Progress Alliance. How are we going to? I mean, I have some pretty substantive concerns. How are we going to compete economically? How are we going to function as a society? Whether or not you think that the purpose of education is for, I don't know, to create good citizens, to have a robust democracy, to give people jobs, to make educated individuals. Yeah, so that's my take on that. And definitely check out Joshua Katz. He was a former professor at Princeton, who's a good friend of mine now. All right, cool. Thanks, Josh. Joe. Someone said, why won't schools teach critical thinking anymore? I'm just actually reading James Lindsay's new book. I literally just started the first page of it today. He sent it to me because, for the same reason I'm against what Dan Dennett is for, teaching world religions. Who is going to teach these things? I mean, the problem is with the academic infrastructure and the credentialing mechanism with College of Education. So schools don't teach critical thinking anymore because they think they value it, but they're not teaching it for what it is. The number one thing they could do is to prove me wrong is to teach spectrum street epistemology and not go into the class with convinced that they know the right answers to moral questions. All right, cool. Thanks for that super chat. Nabil Mohammed, did I say your name right? You're muted.
Looks like you got to unmute there. Mic isn't connected, it says.
Huh? Yeah, I did. Unmute.
It says your mic is not connected.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're frozen, but we can hear you.
Awesome. Can you hear me now?
This is probably not going to work. You're too choppy. One sentence. What's your question? Sorry, it didn't work.
Sorry,
couldn't hear you. Couldn't get to you. Sorry about that. Our apologies. Hey there, Maverick.
How's it going?
Oh, cool. I'm on. I didn't know what was next. So I had a question about whether you believe in moral wrongness, but I should briefly define what I mean by moral wrongness. So an action is morally wrong for someone else who ought not to do it, but some oughts are purely descriptive, like when if you want to do well in school, you ought to study, just means something like, as a matter of practical necessity, you need to study to do well in school. Whereas some oughts prescribe in a way that is not purely descriptive. So, for example, someone saying you shouldn't torture infants just for fun might be using this sort of ought in mind. This is the sort of ought that I mean when I'm using my definition of moral wrongness. It is that type of ought that does not have only descriptive qualities. So I was wondering if you believe in that type of morality.
So you spoke quickly and had a hard time understanding you. Do you mean whether or not we are morally compelled to act in certain ways as opposed to take a neutral position?
No, I mean, if you believe in that quality I described exists, that type of, because we use oughts in a couple different ways. So like the hypothetical imperative, that's reducible to the purely descriptive.
Are you having trouble understanding him?
A little bit. Yeah,
I don't know if it's the mic or what. Could you just slow down your rate of speech a little bit?
Okay, so like, you know how the hypothetical imperative is reducible to the purely descriptive. It has a purely descriptive meaning that the hypothetical ought.
Right.
And so my definition of moral wrongness is that it's using that type of ought that does not have only purely descriptive qualities. So when someone says you shouldn't torture infants just for fun, that type of ought is not a hypothetical ought. It's prescribed in a way that's not purely descriptive. So that's how I'm defining
really
morality.
do it.
So do you believe in that type of ought that does not have only descriptive qualities? Because that's the type of ought I'm using my definition.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would seem
be pretty bizarre not to.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm trying to think of a way to navigate reality in which one believe that in description without prescription. I can't seem to think of one.
Okay, because the reason why that's significant is because if we use that type of moral semantics I outlined, then something called moral non-naturalism is true. And what I found, because I'm Christian, when dialoguing with atheists, is that when we talk about the moral argument, some people redefine morality so that, like, the moral wrongness, for example, has a purely descriptive meaning. So, for example, that which doesn't lessen the well-being of conscious creatures, for example.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's why I'm not an atheist, because it seems to me if atheism is true, that the type of morality I described probably doesn't exist, because
Why?
moral wrongness is non-natural. You can't empirically detect it, barring the supernatural and so forth.
Yeah, but that assumes it falls into the domain of the empirical. Why couldn't it be reasoned to, and you use like in South Africa there was a thing years ago where people who were HIV positive or actually had AIDS were raping babies. And so why couldn't you use empirical data points and then reason from those data points, unless you want to make the argument? Well, first of all, yeah, why couldn't you do that?
Okay, well, I'll give you an example. Suppose
No, just answer the question.
Why
Please
could-
answer the question directly. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't do that because barring the supernatural, moral wrongness is not empirically detectable. But I should explain what I mean when I say moral wrongness is not empirically detectable.
Okay. So hold on. So why did you use the word empirical?
Well, I thought that's what you were talking about, empirically detectable.
No, rationally derivable is different from empirically detectable.
Okay, rationally derivable. You could use intuition, I suppose. Like you observe something and you have the intuition that this quality of moral wrongness exists. So you could have that, certainly. But I think the problem with that on naturalism is that barring the supernatural, moral wrongness is a non-natural property. So barring the supernatural, it wouldn't have any causal impact on whether our brains would give us the intuitions of moral wrongness existing. So our brains would give us the intuitions of moral wrongness existing, regardless of whether moral wrongness existed. Now it seems to undercut such intuition properly, justifying our belief in morality.
So you're saying that you have to import something else like flourishing or well-being, and the principle itself is not rationally derivable?
I think you could rationally believe in moral wrongness, but I think if on naturalism, there would be no way for us to know that moral wrongness exists. It'd be like saying there's an invisible, empirically undetectable dragon in my garage. Well, how do you know about
hold on. You just made that move again. Why did you again bring the empirical thing in?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, you could appeal to intuition, but the problem, as I mentioned before, is that it seems that if moral wrongness is a non-natural property, it would have no impact on our brains, and so we'd have the same intuition regardless of whether morality existed.
Two questions then? Is there any way to derive? So Reed, don't show me that this is complicated. Is there any way to derive a moral truth? Let me put it this way: is it possible that there are moral truths that are non-intuitive?
Well, if they can't be empirically detected, if they can't be intuited, I don't know of any way we could know about them. So
okay, so are you comfortable with all of your moral views?
Not all of them, no.
Okay,
just like I'm not.
So some of your intuitions go against the moral views you hold?
Oh no, I wouldn't say that. There's some worldviews I'm less certain of.
Oh, okay, but you're still comfortable with those?
In the sense that to the degree that they comport with my intuition of whether they're right or wrong, yes.
Okay, so let's assume that we could evacuate intuition from beings entirely. Would it be possible to rationally derive, I don't know, the truths of mathematics?
Oh, well, if intuition, I suppose it depends on how you're defining intuition, because intuition in philosophy is a very broad term that would encompass rational intuition. It would include.
You were using intuition. I was just, let's evacuate exactly. We have no more intuition. Nobody has any intuition anymore. Just tomorrow we wake up, it's all gone. Would it be possible to rationally derive the truth of mathematics?
It depends on how we're defining intuition. How I'm defining the term intuition is what the consciousness immediately apprehends, what is directly present in one's consciousness, such that it would include our perceptions of elementary mathematical truths. If we use that definition, then that we would not be able to intuit elementary truths.
So if I had a cup and I put another cup, I could not figure out that I had two cups on the table?
If there was no intuition at all? Is that your question?
Well, I'm trying to get at, my larger thing that I'm trying to get at is I don't understand what the relationship is between intuition and a rationally derivable moral truth, and without appeal to anything exogenous like an empirical claim. Like, why couldn't that just be rationally derivable?
Well, it depends on how you're defining intuition. How I was defining intuition is what is immediately present to one's conscious is what immediately apprehends. That type of intuition is very broad. It would cover.
Okay, right. That's so broad that so yeah. So then I guess the question is, I clearly don't think that's the case, but maybe I'm in the minority. I mean, I know a lot of people who are atheists who are relativists. I know a lot of people who are atheists who don't believe in moral facts, who don't or actually outright repudiate those, which is interesting because that itself comes from a stance. So I don't find any incompatibility with the idea that one can live in a naturalistic universe that does not have a supernatural realm and have morally derivable truths. The objection to that traditionally is that there has to be a value that's smuggled in, and why should we smuggle that value in as opposed to something else? And if I want to borrow your terminology, less broad and more specific, it would be that you had a moral intuition for those things, and the syllogistic structure by which you would rationally derive the beliefs was itself be the smuggling in or the importing of the value. All right, cool. We got to move on. Thanks, Maverick. Good question, man. Thanks, man. Hey, Mary, how's it going?
Good. Sorry, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Oh, well, welcome.
No worries.
I love you. I love your work. I've been.
Oh, we love you.
Years now.
Reed even loves you over there.
Question for you. I'm a teacher. I'm a mom. I'm a woman, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of trying to prove what a woman is. I watched the House Senate committee, and they're arguing two different points. One side's arguing for biological women, and one side is arguing for a totally different definition of a woman. So how are we ever going to come to any type of consensus when we're not even talking about the same thing? And as a woman, I can tell you, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm tired of men in our spaces. I'm tired of having to say that I'm not a chest feeder. I'm not a uterus haver. You know, as women, I feel like we've been cheated. We've been lied to. We can't do it all. You can't work full-time, be a mom full-time, be a parent full-time, be a lover full-time. You just can't. And women today are hitting the wall. We're finding out that it doesn't work. And at the same time, we have men laughing in our faces. How do we stop this?
Well, first
How do
of all,
I stop being beat up at school?
yeah, well, first of all, I'm saying I'm sorry. In the words of Florence Reed from Unheard, which I've said repeatedly, we're living in a uniquely stupid age. I wish you were, if one is going to be beaten up, at least it should be something has some semblance to reality or possibility of being true or correct. But this is just so.
No, I'm not even talking physically beaten.
No, I
in
know.
my classroom.
Oh, you're talking, you're physically beaten
I have
up?
had my wrist sprained. I've been spit in my face twice. I've had feces thrown at me. I've been called every name.
There's a lot
outside
of social justice at your school. Where are you working?
I work at a Eastern, well, the school that time was
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it on air. Don't say it. Yeah.
Eastern North Carolina rural community.
Wow, that's unexpected.
So yeah, I mean, okay, I thought you were just talking about beaten down.
Oh no, beaten down emotionally too. Like as a woman, what do we do?
Okay, well, there are
these parents are terrible.
Okay, there are two things going on there. So the first obligation of your employer is to create a safe workspace. And if you're in an environment in which you are physically unsafe, then you must immediately go to the administration. And if they don't take immediate action, you must sue.
No, the way it works in school systems, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. When you are injured in school, if the child has an IEP, then they're found a manifestation.
Oh, yeah.
They're allowed to stay in school. Kids that are disadvantaged or of a certain socioeconomic group.
Yeah, that's in
race,
Portland. In Portland, they have different disciplinary procedures based upon race. And Reed, if you could pull that up, post would be great.
You can't suspend them
Okay,
because
so
they need them in school rather than out.
Yeah, so you have two things going on there. I would not be in a work environment. In fact, that's why I moved out of Portland. I would not be in a work environment if you were physically unsafe. And I don't even mean threatened. I mean, you've actually had things, and it seems like repeatedly happened to you, feces, wrists. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would leave.
I've left that building, but just to go teaching anywhere, it's almost the same thing. The kids have all the power, the teachers have none. And if you say anything, and we're compelled to lie in this state too.
What do you mean by that?
Wants to use a different gender, a different name,
Oh, I
we have
see.
to lie to the parents.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the
wouldn't
first
do
thing
that.
is physical safety, right?
Yes,
I mean,
for
that's
sure.
the first order of
Undoubtedly.
business. The second order of business is a much larger conversation. It's not as easy as leave, so you're not physically threatened. I personally believe
$80,000 in debt for student loan to teach kids that parents don't even want. I mean, if they send 2 days into spring break, they're like, I can't wait till my kid goes back to school.
Yeah, so you
don't
have
want
to
to be with your kid. Why do I?
Yeah, so you have to document this meticulously. Absolutely unequivocally, you must document this. And there's a potential for legal action in terms of fighting back large scale. And then we're almost out of time here. We need to go to dinner, but no, you're fine. And I want to get a couple more people in real quick. One thing you have to do is my advice to you, maybe it's counterintuitive, would just be to hang in there, because I think that this madness is coming to an end. Don't expect any apologies, though. Everyone will gaslight you and tell you they never believed any of this nonsense in the first place. So that's what I would do. I would just hang and remember the possibility that you'll lose a lot of friends, but the possibility that you make higher quality friends and have more profound relationships and friendships is always better when you're honest and direct with people. So
I still believe the kids are our future, and I have faith in them. It's just so hard when you don't have parental support.
Yeah, well, the systems are completely corrupt. And Thomas Sowell, we were talking about Thomas Sowell's new book,
Social Justice Fallacies.
Yeah, and we'd highly recommend that. All right, Mary, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a
Whip
great
through
evening,
some of these.
gentlemen.
Appreciate it. Best. I hope you're safe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, what's
Game
up, guys?
Wave.
Can
Hey,
you hear
man.
me?
How's it going there, Game Wave?
How's it going?
Yeah, good, man. Good. You?
Excellent. We're excellent. Yeah, we're going to go to dinner soon. I'm hungry. Then we're going to
Excellent.
go to a club. Woo! That's how I'm going to
If
do
I was
it.
there,
That's
I'd
how
try
I'm
to
going to
join
roll.
if I was over there. Okay, I got a few things. Yeah, men are men, women are women. With this whole trans stuff, just by saying that people are trans men and trans women, doesn't that cancel out the fact that they are trying to be men and be women? 'Cause they're saying that
Yeah.
they
So,
are.
when I was with Kathleen Stock in Austin, and I said something to her, I used the term trans woman, and she said, "Oh, you mean a man?" So but that's part of the language that we use, and that's an identifier. But that's right now that has a cultural currency and traction. So that's what I use.
Yeah.
Did you have a
Also
question?
with the yeah, I do.
Cool.
Okay, to Mary, yeah, record it if you can record something before it happens, like if you know it's
Great
gonna happen
advice.
previously, then do it again.
Documentation. Fantastic.
Today, I was on the bus, and like there was these kids at the back, they were throwing stuff at the other passengers, and nobody said anything. And me, if we wasn't in an age where everyone records stuff on their phones and people get things misinterpreted, misconstrued, and and could damage someone's reputation, I would have slapped the person who's doing it.
Yeah,
You know?
I wouldn't advocate physical violence for that.
I understand, but they were throwing things at people, which is physical violence, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think that the response to throwing things at people should be to beat the shit out of them.
Not beat the shit out of them, just like a slap or something. But I'm just, that's what I'm saying. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying that's what I would have done.
Yeah, I would be opposed to physical violence for that. I just tell the bus driver and have them call the police on him, and I'd actually have the bus driver lock the door so they couldn't get out, and then have the police arrest them.
Bus driver couldn't do anything, but the thing is, no other passengers would stand up and say something. No, they wouldn't. I was the only person there that was willing to say something. But me knowing.
So again, I get against physical violence. Now, if they got up and they started punching people in the head, that's a totally different thing because it's self-defense. And I actually think if you know how to defend yourself, it's morally incumbent upon you to stop that kind of naked wanton aggression, that predatory behavior. But if they're just throwing stuff at people, I would have walked down and told the bus driver. I also would have said, I think you should lock the door and call the police immediately.
And tell them to knock it off.
I did. I said stop doing that. Bus driver got out of. I was getting off the bus as she got out, and she was trying to say something. Say something.
Then I would have
But,
called the. Are you in London?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have called the police myself on my phone.
You see, but at the same time, I don't really like police. I've been in
Okay.
several.
Well, then you have a genuine problem.
Exactly. So, and you're a pretty smart dude. I'm trying to come to you. See, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what I would have. That's what I've done. Why you don't like the police is another story entirely. All right. Cool. Yeah. So I think it's important to keep our impulses in check, and even if people do stuff like that, short of the, when people yell at someone or even throwing thing, I don't think a physical response is warranted. But if they are actually hurting someone and beating someone, then I think that the only response to that should be to defend the other person. And
depends on what they're throwing, I guess, but most likely, yeah.
but if they were bricks, you can just. Was it a double-decker bus?
A single decker.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
There was a
downstairs, but yeah.
They were actually throwing it at a mother and a baby holding a baby.
Oh, that's bad. What were they throwing? Paper or what were they throwing?
It was a bunch of hard objects, like it was. I couldn't see what it was exactly because they were throwing it fast. It was like metal objects.
Oh, okay. If it's hard objects and they're throwing it against a mother and their baby, then absolutely you have to intervene in that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in the U.S.,
Sorry.
the likelihood that someone would have a gun is high, but here, I mean, I said here, so if I were in London, but in London it's very small.
Yeah. But
So
but
listen,
the thing is,
in no uncertain terms, I'm going to tell you something. Someday, those guys are going to throw something at the wrong guy. They're going to throw something at the wife of somebody who is not to be trifled with. And then I was see what will happen to them.
I was waiting for it to be me, to be honest. I was waiting for it to be me. I was like,
Yeah.
I was furious. It's a mother and a baby. Just everyone's just going about their business.
Yeah,
you know what I
they
mean?
could have had they could have had mental disorders. All right, man.
No,
cool game
it was school children. It was school children.
Oh yeah, well then especially you don't want to hit them if they're kids. Yeah. All right, thanks, Game Wave. We appreciate it, man.
Take care.
Good keeping your cool. Hey Jesse, I think you're the last. Is Jesse the last one before we go? What time are we going out to eat? We have a few more minutes. How's it going, Jesse?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right.
I'm good. I'm worried about what your question is. So go ahead.
I have a couple of them. Did you get to see Merciful Fate tour last year?
To see what?
Merciful Fate last year?
No. Should I have?
I don't know. You said you like metal, so.
Oh no, I didn't see it. Where were they touring? I just traveling a lot.
Anyhow, I like your Socratic questioning during your
thank you.
epistemology. It's really interesting to hear.
Thank
People
you.
try to rationalize their nonsense.
Yeah, rationalize is a perfect word too. People misuse the word rationalize mean to reason through. It doesn't mean that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of want some advice, actually. I spent my whole life trying to make a living as an artist.
Ooh.
In various
What's your medium?
ways. Huh?
What's your medium?
Well, I mean, so I started out when I was younger in like performing arts, like singing, dancing, theater, acting, that kind of thing. Good luck with that to everyone. And then also as a child, I was into like sculpting and drawing and painting and stuff. Again, I mean, these are things of like natural talents and doing these things. And I'm good at like public speaking and all of the arts, right? But you can't really earn a living in doing that. So I got into like, cake making and tattooing and all these things. And I ended up getting an associate's degree in like an entrepreneurship certification. And then now I'm actually got a full scholarship to finish my bachelor's degree.
Good. Where do you live?
Ohio, Columbus.
Okay. Cool.
So the scholarship was, they had to cut it in half to only like 1 year because of a technicality. So I'm actually getting an interdisciplinary studies degree, which essentially is liberal arts. It doesn't apply to anything. I'm an honor student, like 4.0. So it's like, I feel like I have all this talent and all this intellect, but I just feel like I don't fit in the world because, like I'm agnostic. I'm kind of a centrist, modern or moderate. So I don't know. I look at the world and I see just a lot of very strong opinions that I don't agree with, and I look at jobs where it's like endless working for someone else's vision, and these middle managers that just like kill you with 1,000 cuts, and then I see AI, and I've done a deep dive into that about how it's like going to replace all the jobs, and now people are saying, "Oh, get a master's degree," and I'm like, "Well, why? Like, what am I going to get a master's degree in? You know, everyone has MBAs. I'm sure I could do that, but to what end?" So I guess my question is, you know, since you were in academia, is it even worth the investment into getting a master's degree at all? Like, I can tolerate people's opinions there, and I can write that, like Ben Shapiro said, just write what they want you to write, get the grades. You know, I'm capable of that, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't belong in the world right now.
All right, so I'm gonna guide you through a little exercise here, if I may. So I'm gonna ask a couple of personal questions. How old are you? You don't have to answer these if you
No,
want
it's
to.
fine.
How old are you?
43. I know I look like I'm 20, but I'm a lot older.
Yeah, you look young. Okay, so you're 43. So imagine your life at 65.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it as vivid as possible. What's around you? Where are you at 65?
Honestly, the more I see of the world, I just want to be like a hermit in a cave, finding the philosopher's stone or finding the theory of everything. Like, the more I see of society's downfall and the chaos and the madness, I kind of just want to escape. But I know that's not possible. I have to like.
Oh, it's possible. I've done that. I'm doing that now. Okay. So it's 65. So basically, you want a kind of a home in the middle of nowhere.
Probably.
I just mentioned Ireland is paying people to live on islands, so you can
I
do that.
love Ireland so much. My grandmother's Irish, but
They will pay you to live on a remote island. It's disconnected from the mainland, but if you really want to do that,
how do you feed yourself and like?
There's like 200 people that live on there, so it's a self-sustain. You can Google it, but if you really want to do that, that would be my suggestion.
Okay. So the technique is so that's 65. So where do you see yourself at 55?
I don't know. This is the problem. Like, I feel because like my brain's kind of like a machine. I can see all sides of everything, and I get analysis paralysis because I don't watch TV or movies. I don't waste my time with stuff. I like research for fun, just because I'm trying to figure out life, and I've kind of been in a soft existential crisis since I was a teenager. So when it comes to like people want to do these like mind brainstorming or thought experiments, it's really hard for me to give an answer because
but we have something.
I'm too broad, I think.
Okay,
you know?
but we have something. We have a goal. We have an endpoint. And of course, I hope you live beyond 65 and healthy and happy. But we have an endpoint, and that's for you to live a kind of remote life. Do you have kids?
I have one adult daughter, and that's it.
Okay, that makes it easy. So I'll just jump to the chase. Two things. So what I was going to do is 65, 55, 45, and then you basically, most people work up. Dave Ellis's idea is that he wrote How to Be a Master Student. I think that's the name of the book a while ago. One of the best-selling books of all time. The idea is that you work down from that and see what your ideal is. So Travis's idea, I'm pretty bearish on civilization as a whole in the West, given what's happened, and that's another conversation. But I'm very sympathetic to the idea that you just want to kind of hide away. There are some good places to hide away. Eastern Europe is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Eastern Europe. And there are a lot of places in the United States where you can just, get a house, find a little community, hunker down, be a good life.
Yeah, I don't know what the future looks like here anymore because we're nearing that like 250 mark of the empires collapsing, and Ray Dalio's video about like the changing empires and
Neil Ferguson said that the historian said that this has been this is a preoccupation with Americans, thinking the whole civilization is going to collapse. It goes back for a long, long way. But yeah, so that's what I would do. I would try to buy a remote piece of real estate and build on it if that's your concern, and we'll see what happens. Or go to Ireland. I don't know. they're paying people to move there. It's pretty cool. Or look into Eastern Europe. I was in Bratislava a while ago. It was amazing. I'm a huge fan of Hungary. There are so many places in Hungary. It's so cheap and so beautiful.
I have a friend from Hungary, but she hates it. That's why she's here.
Yeah. Okay. So Hungarians, a lot of Hungarians leave the West. They don't like it. I think it's one of the most amazing places, and it'll enable you to live that kind of life you want. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks. Right on. Do we have time for one, two more? From Exponent 999. Thank you. I've learned so much from Peter about living and examine life. Keep up the great work. My girlfriend and I met you last weekend. Oh, cool. Just from the
nice.
show. Cool. Right on. Thanks, guys. We appreciate that very much. So we're all this goes in the nonprofit to support what we do. We appreciate it. Axel. Hey, Axel. How's it going, man?
Hey guys, long time listener, first time caller.
Oh, cool. We appreciate that. Amazing how civil everybody is today, Reed. I was not expecting this. I think I've been on X or Twitter for too long. Everybody calling me a fascist, pig, Nazi.
It's a far cry from X, that's for sure. Yeah, no, Peter, I found your NPR series with your jujitsu coach. I blanking on his name, but
Matt Thornton.
Particularly incisive. As a longtime listener to NPR, I could never put my finger on just it. It never felt right to me. There were things that, but you put it into words very well.
How disappointing, right? How totally disappointing for everybody.
Yeah.
How truly disappointing it was. Yeah.
It's unlistenable now. Just unlistenable. Quick question.
Sure.
Something that's been sort of tugging at me. What do you guys think of the concept of G or general cognitive ability?
Big fan.
Okay.
Big
So
believer.
you think there is a different,
no
different
question.
people have different innate cognitive ability, cognitive horsepower, if you will. I hear people refute this.
Yeah, my mentor was big into that. Frank Wesley, Franz Wolfson was his German name until he escaped as a German Jew, and he was doing a lot of research then that the IRBs and the research boards prohibit now. But I'm a big believer. I think that it's is it perfect? I don't know, but certainly in essence, it seems to be overwhelming evidence that it's true.
Yeah, when you were teaching, you taught undergrads, right, at Portland State?
Yeah, some grads, mostly undergrads.
Okay. Did you ever run into somebody who, just for whatever reason, they may have been way an outlier on the high side? Like, wow, this person clearly has an IQ of 180.
Yes.
Or
yeah, I just ran into
really can barely even grasp the concepts.
Yeah, far more of the latter. But I just ran into. We just have this video coming out with this little kid who's like some kind of crazy super genius, and I just was like, yeah, that's going to come out pretty soon, and that's in Regent's Park, London. But yeah, sure, I run into those people, not very often, but we definitely run into them.
Yeah, the last numbers I saw on this, it's a double-digit percentage of people, I think, in the United States who have an IQ of 85 or lower, something like that. I could be wrong about
81 or lower is 10%.
Wow. So what, it's hard to say. You don't act as a society, we act as individuals, right? But what does a society do with people with an IQ lower than 81?
I've asked many people on our podcast that I originally pulled a variation of that question from the Jordan Peterson, Glenn Lowry podcast. I find that fascinating. What obligations does society have for people IQs under 81? If under 81, you can't go in the military. You can't basically, and again, we're talking about 10% of the people here. I don't know the answer to that question, but here's what I do know, that we're in no way ready to have an honest conversation about it. Peter Singer has some really interesting stuff. I said this once and someone said, he never said that. And the book is that he said this in is with Kitty Fetter. Read, Google this for me. Cognitive disability and its challenge to moral philosophy. I think that's the book. Question is, what do we do with people who have IQs under 25? That's another question entirely. But to answer your question, I don't know, but it would seem to me on some sort of a Rawlsian paradigm that we have a responsibility to care for the least advantaged people in the society. And so, yeah, that's the book. I wrote a review of that book. And you can look at what Peter Singer says in there.
And I guess the flip side of that is, how do you sort the people who truly are brilliant and make sure that they can achieve their potential.
Well, yeah, we're not doing that now. We're doing just the opposite.
Right.
Right. All right. Well,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, sorry to bum
Appreciate
you
it.
out,
Right
but
on. No,
thanks for
doesn't
taking the call.
doesn't bum me out at all. I think it's something that we're not ready to have. And look, all the things that we're not ready to have, and we can't even have an honest conversation about immigration. We're going to have an honest conversation about what we do with people who have IQs under 81. There's no possible way we can have an honest conversation about that. And what happens when you move to 25? I mean, we're just children. We're worse than children. Children want to have conversations. We're just stuck in our own ideologies, which is why we need spectrum street epistemology and other tools. And then, again, I just want to say one more thing. If you're doing a conference, enough with the lectures, enough with the panels of everybody who disagree with each other. Like, just enough. We're done with that. Like, debates, fireside chats, spectrum street epistemology. That's the only thing your panels, your conference should consist of, with the exception of the intro, in which they tell everybody. All right, thanks, Axel. I think we have time for one more read, or no? What time are we going out? 8?
Are we going to eat before that though?
All right, let's
West. No, not
all right, one more. Last one, real quick. One more.
Julian.
Hey, Julian, last one real quick. Then we got to go to dinner.
Hi, Julian.
No, well, thank you very much for having me. I am a follower of your work, Professor Bogosian, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Peter, okay. Even though I am coming from a different academic background, I am an engineer by training, but then I became a Christian theologian. I got my education both in the States, even though I am from Colombia in Latin America. And then I got my second master's degree and my PhD in the UK, the University of Aberdeen and St. Andrews.
Right.
So I found your work really interesting in terms of the commonalities that we have, even though we are coming from a different worldview. And I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for your work. I really appreciate that. And I just wonder in which sense, because my knowledge about your work coming from a more atheist, is that there were not common ground between your worldview and us, for instance, in my case, a Christian theologian. But then I see that now you have changed a little bit in terms of finding more commonalities in your fight against cancel culture and all this madness in which we are right now in the West.
Yeah, I don't know if I've changed so much. I think external conditions in the culture have brought people together. I think that the role of metaphysics is so my guess is that you and I don't know you, but yeah, that's my piece. I was actually thinking of that piece. Read reads my mind. That's what you get for hanging out with someone for so much. I'm bringing Reed to an event, and they asked me for my spouse's name, and I put Reed down there on the. But I think that the role of metaphysics is greatly demeaned, and I think that what's important now are people who the right access, the correct access. The way to look at this is not through right, left, or conservative Republican or liberal Democrat or what have you.
Or atheist Christian.
Or atheist Christian. I think those are bad lenses. I think that the lens is cognitive liberty. One of my I think it was Neil Shenvi and Patrick, the Christian guys who wrote that book about critical race theory. I blurbed it. I'm losing the title of the book right now. Reed, pull that up. They asked me what I thought of Ayaan Hirsi Ali's conversion. And I don't know if you read that on her.
Yeah.
And my response, because a lot of atheists lost their mind about that. I think an interesting response. Shermer had an interesting. There are a bunch of interesting Substacks and comments on that. My response is, as long as that conversion was. Oh,
I might need to mute your mic.
Can you mute your mic?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, thanks. As long as that conversion was not coerced and it was made freely and openly and deliberatively, people can live any kind of life as they want. I don't want anybody to coerce me. I don't want Travis to be coerced. I don't want you to be coerced. If you want to believe you want to believe in whatever you want to believe in terms of metaphysics, I couldn't possibly care less. But I think that the relevant axis there is cognitive liberty and giving people the freedom to live the kind of lives they want in their belief lives. All right, cool. Thanks, Julian. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to see it in my videos, maybe Reed can put a link in the chat.
Yeah, and we're in LA, and we're going to do some Spectrum Street Epistemology. We have Buck Angel
Buck
coming on, and we have other people. Do we have any final super chats that we didn't get, Reed, or that we want to go through? If you have any super chats, this is it, because we're going out to dinner. Do we know where we're going to go, Travis?
Somewhere good. I'm
yeah,
hungry.
I know.
Lots of
We
protein.
haven't had the best meals in the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, if you just check out thesignalproductions.com, that'll link you to all my stuff, YouTube and locals, and you can see all the trailers for my content. So I've got Uncomfortable Truths, all about gender. I've got the Woke Reformation.
That's excellent.
Peter's
Excellent. Yeah, big fan of Travis's work. Hence, we're sitting next to each other. Good friend of mine.
Douglas Murray, and yeah, lots of great, awesome people. So.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. I'm once again amazed at how civil everybody was. I was expecting a hellstorm. So thank you very much for. So we should totally do these.
Let's do it again
more often. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Right on.
Thanks everyone.
And thanks to Reed.
Yeah, superstar.
Thanks, Reed. Thank you for watching. Everything we do is under the umbrella of the National Progress Alliance, nationalprogressalliance.org. It's a nonprofit, independent 501c3. Your generous donations keep us going and keep fueling content like this. So please help us out. Make a donation. We very much appreciate it. Thank you.